Uh, Diksha will start. Good evening, participants. Once again, welcome to this sixth talk in the entire series. Before I go further, I would request all the participants to kindly mute their audio and preferably video also, so that we have a clear bandwidth, except the speaker, of course. And today's talk, the title of today's talk is Software Application for Analysis, Design and Drawings, Case Study using StatPro application. And today's talk will focus on general engineering and software applications for analysis, design and drawings, as to how StatPro software can be used for analysis in design office, along with important points and then commands that will be also discussed. Flow of analysis, model preparation, geometry, loading, analysis, interpretation of results will be touched upon by the speaker, with design of structural components in concrete and steel. Glimpses of some of the case studies, projects of buildings, and several other building typologies probably will also be touched upon by the speaker. And we have a very knowledgeable speaker today. And I welcome you, Hemant Vadalkarji, to this being a part of this webinar series being conducted by Association of Consulting Civil Engineers. There is a very interesting, very elaborate resume, but I request you to pardon me. Due to the paucity of time, I will be briefly introducing you to the participants. Hemant, today's speaker, is graduated in 1986 from Pune University and then did his post-graduation from VJTI, Mumbai. And he has his experience spanning from between 89 and till date. He actually began his career with Shirish Patel and Associates Consultants Private Limited, Mumbai, as a senior design engineer. And during these 5 years, handled stat analysis, design, detailing, estimate, and occasional site supervision for several projects, important projects. 2006 onwards, has been working as a consulting structural engineer in the name of Vadalkar and Associates. That is his own organization. Involved in analysis and design of high-rise and complex structures, designing various types of structures like industrial building plants, residential, commercial, mass housing, treatment plants, jetties, etc. Computer analysis consultant for many years and on many projects. Some of the projects include mass housing project for CIDCO for 2,400 tenements, indoor stadium for Nashik Municipal Corporation, Vashi Station, etc., and several other noteworthy projects. He has also been a member of Institution of Engineers, Indian Society of Structural Engineers, American Concrete Institute, Indian Geotechnical Society, Institution of Valuers. And Hemantji, I would also request you to be a part of Association of Consulting Civil Engineers. You can also become a fellow of Association of Consulting Civil Engineers.
Okay, my pleasure.
And dear friends, along with his expertise in structural designing, and he has also involved in severally and very seriously in StatPro training. He has conducted several training programs and attended various seminars and technical training programs for various professionals and consulting engineering firms on the StatPro software since 1986. And he has many publications to his credit. And that is about the today's speaker, Shri Hemant Vadalkar. And dear friends, today we have another important assignment. From this time onwards, what we have decided, depending on the request of several participants, we have added, instead of concluding the session only with just question and answers, we have a special panelist, an expert panelist who will probably bridge the gap between the speaker's experiences and draw his conclusion, and the participants, maybe from several backgrounds, from different backgrounds. And today we have such a one more scholar, I would say, who is a very senior member of the Association of Consulting Civil Engineers, who happens to be a founder member of also ACC also, and he is none other than Dr. Ram Prakash, who is the principal consultant and chief executive of Design Consultants Bangalore. We all know him, but for the benefit of the others who are probably new and then who are not aware, he did his doctorate from Indian Institute of Science, and he has been the founder member and past president of Association of Consulting Civil Engineers India, the past vice president, Indian Concrete Institute India, and he is also the immediate past chairman of Instruct, and with an expertise in designing, detailing, construction management, project management of steel structures, concrete, pre-stressed concrete structures, and unconventional structures and buildings. And his journey in the software is also quite interesting. And he has several of the projects involving 3D analysis, FEM, and integrated analysis, which had great appreciation from the peer reviewing groups. And some of his projects, as far as in late 80s, the pinnacle was achieved by him in his career when an 88-meter double-layer 3D space lamella bridge structure in cubes, having puncture for a conveyor gallery, was designed and executed for a stacker reclaimer in a cement plant. It was an international tender and was said to be first of its kind in Asia. With his expertise, with his industry exposure, we will all the participants, and in fact all of us, will be benefited by these two stalwarts or the great technocrats who are with us today. And Dr. Ram Prakash will come after the speaker makes his presentation, and then once the question and answers this thing, Dr. Ram Prakash will conclude the session and give his remarks, and then the floor will be open for the question and answers. So with this, once again, I would request all the participants to kindly mute their audio and video, and the floor is open to you, Hemantji, for your talk. You will have about 60 minutes presentation time, maybe plus or minus 5 minutes, and then we will have about 15 minutes of question and answers. And of course, prior to question and answers, we will have the overview from Dr. Ram Prakash. Approximately about 90 minutes we would like to conclude. Thank you, and the floor is yours.
Okay, welcome to all participants. On the outset, I must thank ACC and the stalwarts, including Ajit Sabnis sir, for giving me an opportunity to share what a small experience I have in the field of structural engineering with all. I feel there are more engineering students, but as I see in the forum, there are a lot of stalwarts also present. So it will be repetition for all these senior people when I'm discussing the basic things also. That is basically meant for students. And then I will try to just touch upon some of the projects we did with this software StatPro. And what are the do's and don'ts also, I will just try to explain you. A small correction I just want to make. In the introduction, Sabnis sir told about a Vashi station. It is not a Vashi station, but I was in the design team of Nerul, Sanpad and Juinagar stations in New Mumbai when I was working with Shirish Patel and Associates. So it is a small correction. And my guru, Dr. Noori, he always says that he's learning all the time. So same way I also see that I am also learning all the time. So from every project, I learn something. And even from the students also, we learn something. So every project teaches us all the time. So I think I am also a student all the time, and I have to also learn from you as well. Okay, so let us start our topic. I'm trying to just share my screen.
Hemantji, you can share your screen.
Yeah, I'm just trying to do that 1 moment. Are you able to see the screen
Yeah,
now?
yes, visible. You can
Okay.
bring it to a full presentation mode.
Yeah, I will do.
Full view.
Yeah.
Yes, visible.
So today's topic is design drawing and some case studies. I will just discuss. For any kind of civil engineering structure, the forms, loading has to be decided by the expert engineer, of course, along with the basic data and the calculations, of course. So that is the first important part for any analysis. And the software, of course, can be used to validate that data. And the respective work for complex calculation that is being done basically by the software. Otherwise, in the earlier days, people used to have only the slide rules or the basic calculators for designing the structures. So software was not available. After I think around 1980s, the desktop has come and the software came into the picture. And then we started using that kind of system for our analysis and design. So these are the various tools that were used earlier. With log tables, we also use log tables during our college days. And then calculators, of course, that is a basic tool. Now, basic computer programming and coding also is being taught nowadays in the colleges is a good thing. The spreadsheets are also very, very common calculations. So many design offices still use these spreadsheets for their routine design calculations. MATLAB is another advanced software program which is similar to spreadsheet, but it has got much more facilities than the spreadsheets. So that is also used by many engineers nowadays. And of course, about this commercial software also is now available for various applications in various disciplines. In of course, civil engineering also we have different type of applications. Now today we'll just focus mainly on the structural engineering part and what are the software generally are available and that are being used by many design firms and engineers. So basically one is a drafting tool, first of all, that is available and that is used in most of the design offices. AutoCAD is I think most popular tool out of that. And then there are some FEM tools also available, finite element analysis. So the most popular will be your ANSYS, the Cosmos, Abacus, and so on. So that will be used for finite element type of analysis. As far as structure analysis is concerned, we have popular software packages called StatPro. Similarly, then you have ETABS, you have the SAP, and so on. There are other also packages like NISA, STARS, Doodle, Build. So these are the packages, those are generally used by the designers. As far as detailing is concerned, then there are certain packages, for example, RAM structure systems. Then most popular is nowadays is RCDC. That is again linked to STAT nowadays, which produces the drawing. Then Tekla is most popular for detailing of the steel structures. And there is a similar product called Pro Structures also from Bentley. And there are some other parallel software packages also available. For visual tools nowadays, everyone talks about the beam modeling. So Revit is again most popular platform for doing that. And Open Building is another platform available from Bentley as well. So this is all visualization tool. You can just club everything into one software model, which talks about the structural system, architectural, MEP, plumbing, interiors, and all these things. And then you can of course get the different views of the structure. You can have the walkthroughs. You can get the quantities and everything. As far as bridges are concerned, there are some popular packages, tools available. Like you have Midas is one of the packages available that is being used very widely. Then there is RM Bridge by again Bentley, which is also a very high-end software for bridges. Then of course there is CSI Bridge, then Autodesk also bridge design, LARSA, these are some of the other packages. So this is generally what structural engineers are using in their design offices. So various modules are available as a tool for engineers for various design. And as far as geotechnical part is concerned, Mostly this Praxis is a very common and it's the most popular program. Soil Vision, Geo5, GeoSlope, Reconnaissance and 3D and so on. Packages available for this geotechnical application as well. Now I'm just showing you some just summary of what kind of software tools are available for various applications. So this is available on the Bentley site as well. So there are different verticals. One is structural engineering, of course, and there are other applications like you have the road, rail, bridges, your architectural, your the modeling, planning, hydraulics, and there are offshore structures, there are plant designs. So this is just for information of the students. Now again, I always say that structural software is nothing but a tool, and that should be again used by a knowledgeable person or a senior structural engineer who has very clear understanding of the structural behavior. Otherwise, you can imagine what will happen if a car driver tries to fly an aeroplane. So the same situation will happen here also. So people feel sometimes that if you have got a software, you can do anything with the software. It is not so. You should have proper understanding of the software and the basics. So that's why we always say that junior people should be very careful in using this type of tools. And generally, they should use these tools, of course, under the guidance of senior structural engineers. That is what is recommended. Otherwise, sometimes we end up with a lot of problems. Now, earlier days, as I said, the structures were much smaller and the calculations were done by simple hand calculations or with calculators. Now the structures are becoming more and more complex, and then we need the calculations very fast. And that's why we need the software to help us out in doing that. Otherwise, it will take a long time. So that is why the software is generally required nowadays for helping us in doing the calculations very fast and accurately. So as I said, STAAD and ETAB are most popular software packages used in the structural design offices. But there are of course other programs as well. So I will be mostly focusing on STAAD part. ETAB is also similar software package. Now again, I am saying the detailed understanding of the software functions also is very much important and essential. When you use any type of software, you must understand the limitations of the software as well, along with the facilities given the software, and how to use the proper command in a correct way. That is also very important because there are thousands of commands available. So which command is to be used and when? I think that is more important, and that should be decided by a senior person. And of course, the results also should be again appropriately interpreted. Again, that is more important. Once you run the analysis, then of course you have to just go to the results and then check whether whatever results you are getting, those are appropriate. That you can just judge with your experience, of course. And again, I always engineers that always you should randomly cross-check the results with basic hand calculations for some few members, not the entire structure. There are hundreds of members, columns and beams, but at least one member you should check randomly with your hand calculation so that you should be confident that whatever output you are getting from the software is correct. So as far as STAAD is concerned, I'm saying that is the most popular again software used in design offices, and I think a general purpose software. If you talk about ETAB, that is also good software and very popular, but that is mostly used for buildings, RC type of buildings. But STAAD is again, I'm saying general purpose software. You can use different type of structures in this software. You can do the buildings, you can do the trusses, you can do industrial structures, you can do different type of domes and all these things. So that's why I'm saying the general purpose software, and different type of structures of course can be analyzed. Data can be transferred to other modules again very easily, maybe through the drafting tools also, or you can just transfer data from one module to other module very easily. Now what exactly we are doing in the model? So we are just trying to simulate the actual real life structures through a mathematical model that we call it mathematical model, which the software can understand. So try to talk in terms of software language or computer language. So the real life structure we try to simulate in a mathematical model format which the program can understand. And again, everyone knows that is a simple matrix algebra. Again, we have to do the calculations. We have to just solve the simultaneous equations, maybe thousands of equations for thousands of unknowns, which is just not possible by hand calculation. So that's why we need to take the help of the software or any computer analysis programs. So good model. The next question will be how the model should be. What I am saying is that it should be a good model. But again, the accuracy of the results will depend on the analysis model you built. But how accurate you need? So as far as civil engineering is concerned, I feel that we don't need that kind of accuracy, as a decimal accuracy. So even if a small approximate model also is good enough for us. So generally we prefer to have a simple model, which is approximate model, than very complex model, because sometimes we have seen that people are trying to simulate everything in the structure in the model. Main beams, secondary beams, small things, small cutouts, and all this stuff, which is really not required. So if you just have the basic framing model, and that is, I think, good enough. So approximate model is generally preferred, which is simpler, of course, to build, to analyze, to see the results and all, rather than making very complex. Because if you try to simulate everything with, say, finite element meshes and grids, the volume or the size of the model becomes very huge, and it takes a long time to run the model. It takes a long time to interpret the results also. So this is my understanding after so many years, that a simple model is preferable rather than building a very complex model, because we don't need that kind of accuracy. Even if error of 1%, 2% is good enough for us, for civil engineers as such. Now, first thing, what are the steps in doing the good model? So first of all, you have to decide on the structure arrangement of your framing system, maybe your beams and columns, and prepare the structural framing plan. First of all, computer will not tell you that you have to judge. As an engineer, as an experienced person, you have to first of all decide the type of framing, where you want to place the columns. Again, of course, in consulting with your architects, of course, you have to do that. And most optimum arrangement you have to, of course, choose finally. So decide the preliminary member sizes, of course, based on your experience, because you have to give certain sizes to start the analysis. The software cannot analyze the structure unless you give the basic sizes, initial sizes, because it is again a stiffness based calculations. So we need to give all the sizes also in the beginning. So what are the steps involved generally? For making the model, generally in STAAD, there are different ways you can build a model. So there are different 4 steps available. One is the simple text editor is available in the program, wherein you can just key in the data. That is like you can write that program, a simple program, English language program you can write down, which the program STAAD can understand. So this is a very powerful feature of the software. I think many other software packages do not have this type of feature. So it is only graphically driven. The second option is again graphical generation. You have the graphical editor, of course, you can generate the structure graphically, put all the data, which the program can read and then analyze the structure. But here you have the dual advantage. You can do partly the text editor format files, or partly you can just do the changes in graphic format as well. Third option is again you have the structure wizard option, wherein you have the structure library available. So you can start from the library and then modify your structural spans, heights, number of bays, and so on, and remove certain portion which is not there in the structure from the standard object. So that is one of the options. And the last option will be you can import from your AutoCAD model. So you can build a model into a CAD system, 3D model, basically a centerline model you want to build, and then import that model into the STAAD. So that is also possible. So your basic framework will be ready. These are the first basic steps. And again, as I said, you can have the simple model, of course, to reduce the data file size. And then generally, it is not really required to model all the slabs by elements, because some people feel that they should model all the slabs into the system, but really it is not required. And you can just take the effect of the stiffness of the slab, that is called a diaphragm action, so that you can simulate without taking into account the finite element mesh of the slab in the model. So that is another advantage you have. So basically we are modeling the frame only, and the stiffness of the slab you can account for in the model. And then of course, once you build a model, then you can check the data graphically. You can see the model through different angles from different views and all, and then check the geometry, the properties, and the supports, the loading applied, and so on. So that you can of course do in the model. Supports are also very important. So support condition also is very critical. I will just come to that in some of the next slides. So the general flow of the program in any of the software, let it be STAAD or any other packages. So it's a general flow that is required for data preparation. So first you have to start the command, start the model. Then you have to build a structural geometry first of all. You have to identify the type of units you are going to use in the system. So what kind of meters, metric tons, one is the force unit, one is the length unit, that you have to decide in the beginning. And of course, you can change the unit anytime in the program as you wish. Then you have to just decide number of joints where you have all the intersections. Then you can define the members like your beams and columns or any other members. Then you can define the properties to the structural members. You have to provide the constants and then the supports. So that completes the geometry of the structure. Then you can of course check the geometry, whether you have built the correct model or not. Once the geometry is ready, then you can go to the next step, that is the loading on the structure. So again, loading, you can divide into primary loads, and then you can just add those loads to make the combination of the loading for your design purpose. So that is generally the procedure. Once you have the model ready, once you have the loading in place, then you can just again check the model graphically. You can satisfy yourself with the correctness of the model and the loadings, and then you can, next step will be the analysis. So you have to just click the analysis button so that analysis will be performed for the given data. Now, once analysis is successfully done, then there may be some warnings or error message also during the analysis. Then that you have to just check again. If there are some warnings, you have to just carefully look at the warnings. If there are errors, then it will not run the program. So you have to remove the errors. Okay. So once everything is done, then you can run the analysis successfully. And after that, you can just check the output results. Now, what kind of output you get? In general, the software gives you the deformed shapes, like the deflection you can just see in the model. You can get the support reactions, and then you can get the member forces. If you are trying to use the finite elements in the model, then of course you can see the stress contours also for different finite element models. Now, once you are satisfied with the results of your output, then the next step will be you can just proceed for a design. Now, design can be either you can have the concrete structure or you can have the steel structure, so that you can perform the design. Now, there are different modules available for performing various designs. Like once you do the analysis in STAT, you can take the data to different modules for different type of designs, like say foundation design. You want to perform foundation design, then you can go to STAT Foundation Advanced. For the steel structures, if you want to do the connection designs, then there is a RAM connection, that is a module available that you can perform. For preparing the drawings, again, finally, there is a module called RCDC, or it is also called STAT Advanced Concrete Design. So that will perform the design as well as the drawings. And you can just plot the drawings in any CAD platform, and then you can get a quantity calculation also done on that. So these are the steps generally involved in the design office. Now we just try to touch upon very briefly about the small commands. Units, these are very flexible units. You can adopt type of unit. I would request that you should be consistent in your units. So as far as possible, you define the unit in the beginning and then stay with those units, because otherwise, if you just change the units in between and then you give the data in the different units, then you may go wrong sometimes. So it is always better to have consistent units in throughout the data file. But of course, there is a flexibility. You can of course change that anytime you want. The joints are very important in building the model. So you have to just define all the intersections where the members are meeting. So these are declared joints. And then numbering of the joints also is flexible, of course. I'm not going to details of the software part as such, but just the key points I am just trying to discuss, that the number would be a serial number. You can have any type of sequence you can decide for your joint numbering. And there are two types of coordinate systems are used generally, for Cartesian coordinate system for normal type of structures. And if you have got some type of cylindrical type of structures or circular structures like say silos or chimneys like this, then you can have another system which is called cylindrical system. That also you can use, where you can define radius and the interval at what angle you want to rotate the structure. So it is like a circular revolution, you can generate the structures. So systems available, you can use any of this which is required. Now you can define the members between the joints now. It can be like your beams, or you can have the columns like that. And then again, as I said, specific numbering also can be provided for the members. So it is not necessary that you should have serial numbers all the time. So I can have a sequence of numbering that I can decide. I can say 101, second floor it will be 201 and 1. So I can identify the beam where it is. So for a very large and complex models, it becomes very otherwise difficult to locate where the member is or beam is. So if you can have a proper sequence of numbering, then that will help. These are some of the examples I am trying to just illustrate and show how the numbering can be done. So as I said, the first floor it is 101, second floor it is 201, third floor it goes to 301 and so on. So you can do that. So it is flexible. Of course, columns I just number from 900. So when I see a number 9, I know that, okay, this is column. This is not a beam. So that you can decide, user can decide on this. Now next will be again about caution. I just want to mention here. Now from the properties, you can either have standard steel tables for your members if you are using the steel structures, or you can have the built-up sections as well. If the section not a standard section, you can make your own section from plates. So that is called a built-up section, or you can put a cover plate for your eye sections. So that is also can be under built-up sections also, or you can have the prismatic property for your sections, or you can have tapered sections also. So different type of sections are available. So you have to choose correctly from the geometry or the library that is available, or you can build your own sections as well. So both the options are available. As far as elements are concerned, there is again a library available. You can choose the appropriate type of surface elements when you are modeling, say, flat slabs, or you are modeling some type of dome type of structures where you don't have any beams as such. So it is surface. So surface again can be modeled by using elements. So you can have these two-dimensional elements, or your 3D elements as well. These are called brick elements for a different type of applications. So I'm not going to details of all this, but these are the facilities available. Of course, you have to use it with caution and full understanding. Now, there are, of course, rules. How do you choose the element, which type of element to be chosen for which type of application? So that again is very, very important. Just an example I am giving you here. The plate elements also can be used here. So this can be a 4-noded, that is called a quadrilateral elements, or you can have triangular elements as well. This can be used for your shear wall modeling, your slabs or the flat slab plates, and shell. These are used for using your finite element models whenever you want to use it in the system. Say, for example, you are just building a water tank structure where you have the frame structure, supporting structure, and then on top you have each type of tanks, which is again a shell. So that you can model with your finite element. So that kind of application also you will have a combined application of frame members as well as finite elements. And the solid elements also sometimes can be used where, say, all the 3 directions are very, very important, where the sections or the dimensions in 3 directions are very critical, like say dam type of structures, or you have the very massive raft type of structure or pile caps. So there, of course, you can use this type of solid elements if you want to use. There are some miscellaneous commands also in STAT, which are of course to be used again with caution and understanding. There is a very interesting command called beta angle. Beta angle is just the angle through which the section can be rotated about its own local axis. So that is the beta angle. So orientation basically. So column orientation, I can orient the column horizontally or vertically. So that can be decided by using this simple beta angle. And then you have this option of releasing certain forces in certain members. Like say I want to release a moment, I can do that at one end. Now again, it depends on type of connections I am just having in my steel structure. So these are additional commands you can use. And then there is one more command called member offset as well, which is also very useful. So this is just an illustration of that beta angle I am saying. So the angle is the rotation angle. Basically, you can rotate the member about its local axis. So just an example I am just trying to show you. On the left hand side, what you see is the beta angle 90 degrees. That means the column is oriented vertically. Okay. On the right hand side, what you see is beta 0 means the column is horizontal. The dimension may be same, but one column is parallel to, let us say, x axis, and the other column is parallel to your z axis in STAT. So xz plane is my plan dimension in STAT. So that orientation you can change by using the simple beta angle concept. And as a member release, that means you can release certain forces or moments at the ends. So that is used by this release command that you can use. So I can release a moment at one of the ends, or I can release a torsion at one of the ends, because otherwise by default there are 6 degrees of freedom at all the members at any joint. So there are 3 forces and 3 moments. So out of that, you can release some of the forces or moments. So that is the release command. And in the graphic representation, you can see a dot there at the end of the member, so that you understand that so release is given over here. Say for example, when you have the framing of main and secondary beams, so secondary beams are sitting on the main beam. So at the junction of the intersection, I want to release the moments in the secondary beam. So that can be done by using these commands. One more important command is called member offset also. So this is giving some offset for beam and column. So the model is generally built on the center line of the beam and the columns, but in reality, the beam is just coming up the face of the column. So that is called an offset. So that is also can be modeled in the system by this simple offset command. So that takes into account the eccentricity of the load application and reduction in the beam span, because otherwise it will assume that center to center is the beam, which is not the case. It is column face to column face is the beam real span, or the clay span we can call it. So that also can model here. These are just a small example. Member offset. You can see the beam now. It is coming up to the face of the column. Okay, not going inside. So that is simulated by the offset command. So you can do that in the software. There are some special type of members also you can use in STAAD, which are called active inactive members, which are, I call it a load dependent members as well, like say bracings. The bracings are really provided for carrying the lateral loads in the system. They are not supposed to carry any vertical load as such. So you can just make them active or inactive based on the type of load you are applying. So that is possible. Sometimes you need compression only members or tension only members. So that also can be simulated. Then there are truss members. You can declare certain members as truss members. Those cannot take any moments or shear. So it will take only carry axial force. Or there are some cable members. This type of members you can specify based on your requirements, of course. This is just small example again. You can make the members active and inactive for vertical loading and all. The members, the bracing may not take any load. But when you put a horizontal load, the bracing will come into picture, or the member will start acting in that type of structure if it is decided as a tension type of member. So it is like that. So you can simulate it actually the way you like. The truss members also you can declare certain member or part of the structure as truss member based on the requirement, of course. So accordingly, the stiffness can be modified in the system. These are cable members as an example. So cable only can take tension, and there can be a sag in the cable also. That also can be corrected. So there is an option available, or you can have initial tension in the cable also. So these are the commands available. Now, once you have the geometry, the properties, then you have the material constants that you have to specify for different type of materials you are going to use in the system. One is the modulus of elasticity, of course, then the density of the material, Poisson's ratio, alpha is coefficient of thermal expansion that is required for temperature analysis, and beta, as I said, is the orientation of the member only. So these are the basic things which are required for getting the stiffness calculations. Now you can have different material in the same structure. You can have concrete, steel, aluminum, or any type of composite material you can define, provided you can define those properties of the material. Now coming to supports, again, you can have different type of supports in the system. The most popular supports may be either you can have the pin supports or you can have the fixed supports. But apart from that, you can have spring type of supports also, or you can have unidirectional support like a roller also. But roller cannot be defined as roller directly. So you have to have some releases. Say a roller can move in X direction. So that means you have to release that force Fx. So it will just move in the X direction. Or if you want to release the moment there, so I can release the moment. See, major moment, I call it Mz. So I can release the moment at that point. So the way I want the structure to behave, accordingly, I can define the support over there. So these are the facilities again to be used with caution and with full understanding. These are some examples of pin supports where the moments are zero, only displacement is the restraint, and the fixed support, all the degree of freedoms are restrained. So you get all the forces and the moments and the fixed supports. In the pin supports, you get only the forces, no moments there. Now there are some instability. I am not going into detail of the instability again, but sometimes people say that, okay, there are a lot of messages coming due to instabilities. Now only the cause of instability is to be ascertained and then found out. There are local instability as well as global instability, and there is some math precision also problem sometimes. So it happens. So you have to be very careful. I'm just touching upon this instability problem, because if you give some wrong supports, for example, support condition, then also it will cause instability. For example, if I put all the supports as say roller supports, the structure can start shifting or sliding. Okay, there is no restraint in the lateral direction. So that type of instability also will cause. Or you can have excessive releases in the structure, that also cause the instability. And sometimes you can just connect a very stiff member with very flexible member. So that causes the mathematical instability. Okay, so it is basically a stiffness parameter, or two joints are very close to each other. That means the length becomes practically zero. So the stiffness becomes infinite. So that type of, I think, situation, you have to be very careful in those type of situations. And the program will warn you for that. Now, how do you understand that there is instability? How do you know that? Once you see the warning. Second part is you have to check the total load applied and the reaction. If you just find that the total load applied and the reaction is not matching, then that means there is some instability, there is some problem. So loads are getting lost during analysis. That means there is some problem. Or you can look at the deflected shapes also. If there are very huge and large deformations happening in the structure, then also there is some problem, instability problem maybe there. So these are just the, I think, hints I'm just giving you. just to check whether the model is correct or there is any problem in stability or not. And there are some special topics, of course, that is again to be discussed with the experts whenever you use this type of application in the software. But you can have the finite element, you can model the shear wall, the diaphragms and all these things. That is all there in the software, you can use it. So coming briefly with the loads now. There are different type of loads available in the software, and there are some generators also available which are generating load for you on the system. Now basic loads are of course there, like you can have the joint loads at any particular joint. You can define all the primary loads. You can load the members with different type of distribution. It may be uniformly distributed load, or you can have the triangular type of loads. And the loads can be applied again in local direction or in global direction or in projected direction. All the options are available. So again, you have to be very careful in applying the correct direction of the load. So that is, I think, more important. Now there are generators also available which will generate the load for you. One is that is wind load generator. Once you have to give the intensity and the height, it will generate the load on the structure. That is wind load. Same way you can generate a moving load on the system. That is used for mostly for bridge type of applications, or if you are designing some your gantry girders for the crane girders. So there you can use this type of application, moving load application, and you can find out the worst position of the load where you get the maximum bending moment or maximum shear force. So for that it can be used. Then there is seismic load generator also available because we need to analyze the structure for seismic loads. So that also can be again analyzed. And then there is time history application also is available. Some loads like floor loads. As I said, I don't have to really model the finite elements to simulate my slab. But what is the effect finally? I have to take the load distribution correctly as a two-way slab distribution, let us say. So that can be done by this floor command. So it assumes that the slab is acting as a two-way distribution slab, and then it will just distribute the load accordingly and then put the load on the beam, respective members. Of course, there is an option. I don't want, say, two-way distribution. I want one-way distribution. That is also possible in industrial type of structure where you put the gratings. Mostly the load will be one-way distribution of loading. So there the command you can change to one-way load distribution. Then there are certain loads like, say, pre-stress and post-stress loads also. The effect of the pre-stress you can take into account in the model. This is not the program for pre-stress or post-stress analysis and design, but you can simulate the effect of the pre-stressing cable in the system. So that is available here. Then you have the temperature load or the strain loads you can apply on the structure. And there is one load called support settlement load. Suppose one support settles with respect to other supports, like a differential settlement. Then what will happen to the structure? So that also you can study by putting this type of differential settlement load on the structure. And on the finite element, of course, you can put the pressure loadings. Now this I have just explained you that wind load also can be generated directly on the structure. Then of course, but you have to be very careful. Certain odd shapes, it may not be able to generate the load correctly. So then you can of course check this graphically and as well as with some basic calculations, whether the load is correctly applied or not. This is just simple screen I am just showing you for wind load calculations. So what it does basically, it will just try to calculate the area of the influence of the particular node and then apply the load as a joint load at the floor level. That is what it does. Similarly, it will just calculate your earthquake loading also based on the latest course 1893 2016. It support both the type of approaches. One is a static approach, another is a response spectrum analysis, which is really dynamic analysis. We are carrying out the structure. So both these options are supported in the program. So you have to use the appropriate requirements. And dynamic analysis, as I said, again, you have the response spectrum analysis, the time history analysis also you can do. You can put the harmonic loads on the structures, and then a lot of things you can do, of course. The important part I am just trying to just point out over here is the last part. Once you do the model analysis, then what happens basically, you are combining the results by, say, SRS technique, that is square root of summation of squares. And in doing so, what happens, the results of our dynamic analysis turned out to be absolute numbers because you get all the positive values. And there is a loss of sign. So the question is, as a structural engineer, we should know whether the column is in compression or in tension, or in the beam, whether the moment is a sagging moment or the hugging moment. Accordingly, you have to put reinforcement in that structure. So to know that, there is a facility now available in the program which attaches the sign of the dominant mode of analysis to the results, because finally the results are getting all absolute values or numbers. So it attaches the sign later on based on the mode check you tell the program. So generally it is a dominant mode for which the signs are attached. So this is another, I think, interesting feature. Many people are not aware of this, so that's why I'm just emphasizing on this. So you can attach the sign to your results in dynamic analysis so that you understand the results correctly for design purpose as well. So now this is just an example of your mode shape. This is a second mode shape for a given structure. How it looks, we can see the different mode shapes on the structure. Now coming to the analysis part now, you can just verify the results in your analysis model. Once the analysis is completely performed, what you can see is basically text output you will get in output file, or you can check the reflected shapes and mode shapes graphically. You can see at the bending moment diagram, the shear force diagrams, and so on. So for students, I'm just indicating some diagrams just for the reference. I will just run through fast through the diagrams only for the verification. But again, I'm just saying with some basic calculation as well. And there are facilities to produce the max force envelope diagram. So finally, for design purpose, what we need is envelope diagram. So what we do is superimpose all the load combination results one above other and pick up all the maximum values. So that is what is done here in the program. And then finally, it gives you the envelope values. As far as the finite elements are concerned, then you can get a stress control plots. And for steel structural design, it will give you the steel check design check plot. That is called the interaction ratio that I will just show you in the next slide. So you'll know that whether the member is pass or fail. Now graphical results, you can check the results graphically as I said. You can have different views or deflected shape of the structure. You can see a deflected shape. Similarly, you can see the bending moment diagrams of structure. You can see the part of the structure, you can see the whole structure, or you can look at the values also in a particular member. If you click on a particular member, you can just look at the values for a particular load case or a combination. That is also possible. That also you can see. Same way you can see the shear force diagrams as well. So that will tell you the load path and flow of the load in the structure. So that is very, very important. Similarly, axial force diagram also very important. When you apply load on the structure, how it transfers to the foundation. So load path also is very critically seen from the axial load diagram. So all these diagrams are, I think, very, very important for the engineers to understand the behavior of the structure. So before jumping to design, I think one must analyze the result first of all, whether you are getting the appropriate and logical results or not. Same you can have to look at the mode shape diagrams also. This is the sample mode shape diagram for dynamic analysis. Then you have the stress contours for, as I say, the finite element. You can have a variety of stress patterns. One is you can check for the maximum stress, absolute stress, or principal stress, or a particular stress like a shear stress or axial stress, whatever you want. So you have to choose the function, and it will just show you in the form of a color diagram or a contour diagram for the stress you have, along with the legend here on the left hand side. Understanding of the finite element results is very tricky. Only I think the senior most person only can interpret the results very, very correctly. Otherwise, junior people, if they try to use the finite element, then there are some goof-ups and some mistakes being made. So that is our observation. So be careful using finite element analysis for interpretation of results. So I always say that, okay, you have to check the reflected shape first, then support reactions. Look at the static check, whether whatever load applied is, you are getting the reaction equal and opposite to that or not. Look at the bending moment diagrams, shear force diagrams, and get satisfied with the behavior of the structure first of all. And do some, of course, quick calculation all the time. And you have to just check the results graphically as well as logically. That is, I think, more important. And the different options of like P delta analysis, non-linear analysis, or dynamic analysis. But that you have to do under the guidance of expert. That is also very critical. So you make less chances of making any mistake as such. And again, I say that always ensure that there is a consistency in the assumptions made during the modeling, analysis, and then the design, and then actual detailing. Because sometimes people feel that they assume something in the beginning while making the model, and then that is not reflected in the actual analysis. For example, suppose you are assuming that the beam and column in the steel structures are connected by a simple shear connection. So there will be in the analysis model. Otherwise, there will not be any consistency. And the same thing you have to take it for your design and detailing afterwards. So that is what I mean by consistency in your assumptions in the modeling, analysis, design, and detailing. So you have to be consistent in your assumptions. Sometimes torsion is neglected in the RCC beam design. Again, you have to be consistent in the analysis, then you have to neglect the torsion. You cannot neglect the torsion in the design stage if you account for in the analysis. So that is what the mismatch should not be there. Or whatever releases you want to use in the model, same should be taken forward in your design and drawing as well. As far as steel design is concerned, as I said, what type of design you get is basically you have to define the correct parameters in the design, like your reflectance of the member. That is, I think, most critical parameter, the center ratios which you are looking for, that you have to define correctly. Then the deflection check, how much deflection is allowed. So based on the parameter you specify, the program will check the design and then perform the code check and the quantity calculation as well. This is one sample plot of your code performance, or I call it an interaction ratio diagram. That will tell you the design, whether the member is passing or failing. If the ratio is less than 1, you know the member is in green color. If it is more than 1, that means the member fails, and then it is shown in the red color. So these are very quick plots for understanding the design, which member is failing and why it is failing, that you can just go and analyze that. So this is available in steel structures, of course, not in concrete. Now coming to concrete design, again, specify correct parameters as you are doing in steel design, same thing in concrete as well. And again, you have to check the results numerically and graphically, of course, before going to the design part. So some sample calculation, of course, I think I recommend that one should perform from the computer analysis as well. There are some outputs available, which of course you can cross check. This is sample column design you can have. You can have detailed outputs also here for your beams and columns. So that you can of course cross check anytime. Now you can of course define the design code correctly, and then proper combinations of course you have to define which type of combinations you have to use for your design. Then grade of concrete, the cover to reinforcement, that you have to of course define. The arrangement of steel in the column of course you can define. Based on that your column design will change. If you assume the column bars are only on 2 sides, then you have 1% of steel. If you assume that the column bars are distributed on all the 4 sides, then the design will be different, and accordingly you will get a design. So I think parameters are also very, very important for getting the correct design. This is sample example for a beam design as well. This is not actual drawing as such, but just indicative. What are the bars required and what kind of steel is required at different locations. Now, as I said, once you do the analysis in STAAD, then you can take the data through other software modules. Like one is the foundation design. So all the support reactions will be transferred to this STAAD foundation module, and then it will analyze only for foundation now. So design of isolated foundations can be done. You can design the combined foundations, or you can design the pile caps, or you can design a mat type of foundation also in this module. So you don't have to key in the data again, because otherwise there is again a problem in giving a lot of load combination, lot of data, and making mistake in giving the data. So the facility available is once you do the analysis in STAAD, you can take the data into STAAD foundation. Same facilities are available in ETAB also, ETAB and SAFE. You can just analyze in ETAB and then take the data to SAFE, similar to this. And it will produce a design calculation for you and the drawings as well. STAAD foundation. Of course, it can again analyze your machine foundation also. This foundation module will support your vessel foundations or machine foundation as well. So these are additional modules available again, which you can of course use. This is one of the just screenshot I am just showing you for different type of foundations, wherein you can have different type of foundations in one system. Maybe some of the columns are in simple foundations, some are with the combined foundation, and so on. So it's up to the user, and then you can produce the basic drawings. Of course, you can modify those drawings, but your basic work is done. Your bars are shown, depth is shown, the tables are also filled up, and then you can take it to the CAD operator and then modify that. So your work will be much easier. Another module that is available is, again, as I said, this is STAAD Advanced Concrete Design it is called, or RCDC it is called. So which can read the data from the analysis of one results from STAAD, and it performs its own design again based on your code requirements. And then it will perform the design for your slabs or beams or the columns and shear walls. Again, it will perform design for your foundation as well. To some extent, the pile caps also. And it will produce the drawings for you. That is another advantage. Now there is a plan, again, the company will be merging these 2 modules now of STAAD foundation with RCDC, and there will be a combined module available in future. And the another important part is it will produce a detailed design calculation also for you. So you can check the step-by-step calculations if there is any mistake, and you can just of course cross check anytime you want. And drawings are of course very useful. So directly you can produce a drawing in a different type of formats. You can have a tabular formats, or you can have detailed drawings for all the members of beams and columns. And then you can get the quantity calculation in detail. So it will also produce a bar bending schedule for you. So that is also very much required. Otherwise, generally the design engineers, they produce the GA drawings, the detailed drawings, and it is the duty of the contractor generally at site or the project management consultants, they just perform this duty of preparing bar bending schedule and getting it approved before actual fabrication work starts at the site. So this is another advantage or the facility available in the software also, that you can generate a bar bending schedule also with a detailed quantity estimates and cost estimate also. You can put the rates and you can get a basic calculation for your cost estimate as well. This is a sample I am just showing you for the beam. If you want detailed drawings, all the elevations it can draw for you, and you can decide where you want the sections. It will produce the sections also for you at different locations, and it will generate different drawings for different beams. You can group the beams together or group the columns together. Whoever has the similar dimensions and cross section, I mean, so you can just group them together as well. So these are the modules, very useful for a design office. It will save a lot of our time. But again, I cannot just leave it to the software all the time, because otherwise then engineers will become like a robot now. They just keep on pressing the buttons all the time, and they do not know whether what output is generated is right or wrong. So I think we have to be very, very conscious about it, very, very careful about it for checking the data and output, because it will produce hundreds of drawings in few minutes. Now to check those drawings will take a long time for an engineer. So I think that is more important, because software can produce a drawing very fast. As a word of caution, the last thing, always, of course, computer or the software cannot replace a structural engineer. So I think the hand calculation is a must. That is what I learned from my gurus and from my experience, because always you have to do the approximate calculation yourself. And if there is any discrepancy, if there is any difference, always I prefer to rely on my hand calculation rather than output of any sophisticated or any hi-fi computer analysis, because that can go wrong if the data is wrong. So always, of course, I have to compare my the results with the computer model with basic hand calculations. So we cannot forget our hand calculations of basic structural engineering, whatever maybe the software you are going to use. Okay, I think that is the last part, and I'm just trying to touch upon some of the projects or case studies, I will just call it. I am not done a very great projects with this software, but whatever small projects we have done, handle, I'm just trying to show you some pictures and some diagrams, results of the projects. One is a very small structure we have done in Pune station. It is a football bridge at the station that was done in sometime in 2004. And the model, everything was done again with the help of STAT. Again, that was proof checked by railways and again some third-party consultant as well before execution and all. Just small examples. This is mainly I've just taken out for the students basically. For senior consultant, it is nothing new in this. This is a routine thing for all the design offices. So this is what the structure looks like. This is a model we have built, and this is in a drawing. I have numbered all the members and all. So then you can just look at the model, look at the diagrams, the actual force you can see in the model, and then you can just get satisfied yourself. Okay, the behavior seems to be okay. What are you are anticipating or deciding? So this is how it can be done with 2D or 3D. Of course, the structure you can build based on the assumptions and all you have. And this is a part of drawing you have. This is a bracing system at the floor level. What we have there, staircases going down. So you have to, of course, integrate analysis model with your drawings and compare with the results with some basic calculation as well. There is a great view of the structure again. Another simple small project. This is booking office done in Thane station, Thane east side. The peculiarity of the structure is it looks very simple, a ground floor structure, but if you look in the plan, this is a radiating beams are there, and all the beam spans are different. Not a single beam is similar to other beam. So that is another part, and where there are large spans, and only supports are on the periphery of the structure. So this is architectural requirement. So based on that, we have to do that, because very costly structure as far as shuttering is concerned. So, but this is as per the requirement, architectural requirement, we have to do that structure. It's a small, very small structure. We did it long time back. Then for some finite element analysis model, we have done for the crane base analysis. This is a crane basically, and it's a crane base. So there are a lot of plates being used to develop this crane base, and it's a finite element model which we have built for the analysis purposes. I'm just showing you the glimpse of what can be done with the software and how results can be seen or interpreted. So there are different views of the crane base model, and you have to just analyze this for different positions of the load lifted by the crane and so on. So certain elements are getting stressed, that you can see the finite element model. And the stress concentration, of course, you can study. This is a stat model again. This, and you can read the one Mises stresses over there with a different color. So you know that where the stress is higher, and then you have to just strengthen that portion or increase the thickness of the plate at that location or put more stiffness over there. So that will help you in understanding the behavior of the structure, because it's a very complex structure. By simple hand calculations, you may not be able to get all the information. So then you can just, of course, cross-check the result by using a finite element tool, whatever you have with you. So different cross sections or different parts of the structure you can visualize at a time, like a shell or only stiffness. You can place in that part. This is only stiffness I am just looking at now. And certain portion you can see the red color where the stress is very high. So that is the beauty of the software. Then you can just have a look at the different part of the software. As mentioned earlier, we did a small project in Nashik, which is in the sodium, which had got a span of 6. That is a structural steel for the roof. Otherwise, it is an RCC structure. The supporting structure in RCC is an architectural view of the stadium, and the 60-meter span is a truss. The main challenge was not the design. The design is very simple that way, I would say. Design is getting it built from the L1 contractor of the corporation. That was the big challenge for us. So we have to just simplify our detailing and drawing so that the contractor is able to do that. So we just try to make it very simple for the contractor to execute the job. So it is not just the analysis and design, but the execution also we have to think most of the times that how it can be built easily. And we made it in a straight segments of 4 segments of 15 meters each. And that was fabricated at the ground level and then assembled with temporary supports with bolted connections only at some few points, only 4 points. And then the entire structure was assembled truss by truss with a very simple gadam. Derrick it is called. It's a pipe pole which is just lifting one single segment of 15 meters at a time. We could not lift the entire segment. So there were no cranes available. There was no space available. So when the contractor was a very small contractor. So keeping in mind, we have to modify the structure. And the beauty of the structure here is there is no gusset plate provided in any of these trusses. So we have used these back-to-back channels as a top chord, bottom chord, spaced apart, and vertical diagonals are inserted inside and welded directly over there. So there is no gusset plate over here. So we just try to make the structure very simple for the contractor to execute. Done in STAT, of course, for the cross-checking, proof-checking, all is done for all the government type of projects. So you have to just generate all the reports and submit it for third-party validation and all. So important part is you have to just look at the structure properly to understand the load path, how the load is getting transferred from the structure to the supports. So different views you can see. This is basically an arch type of structure which will generate the thrust at the ends. So columns are being pushed by this arch thrust on either side. So accordingly, you have to just size the structural members and the balance. So on the left-hand side stand, if you see, we have the cantilever type of the stand over there, which is try to counteract the load produced by the arch on the frame. So that we are using as a counterweight on the other side. So this simple calculations we are done by simple hand calculation as well as validated by STAT also, and just build a structure. So this is just a small setting out plan. I'm just showing you how we did it in segment by segment of 15 meters each. And the control points were defined and described with the contractor. We explained the drawing to the contractor, called him at our office. We went to site and so on, just to make it very simple. And then we did one mock-up just to start and then get a confidence for the contractor whether he can do it correctly or not. Because the endpoints are very critical. The arch is supported on the columns, which is like a thrust block, acting as a thrust block. So the dimensions are very, very important and accurate. So that you have to maintain. This is a complete view of the structure. Of course, you have this plan type of bracing and all stability purpose. You have to put the bracings in plan as well as in elevation and so on. So that was taken care of. And you can see the structure here, very light structure. Only channel of 125 size was used for the span of 60 meters. It is just back-to-back 2 channels that were used for the truss. So light structure, and there is no plate used anywhere. View of the structure, and then you can see the stage that was inserted later on, and there was the client said that you have to remove certain columns to build a stage over there. So I think the same methodology we have followed, and then we have built a concrete truss over there above this to just transfer the load from the roof to the adjacent columns, and that's how the stage was, which was not in the earlier design. And what you see in the top is again, you have the ventilator over there, and some skylights also were provided. This is complete view. Now, some 2 or 3 projects, I am just taking 5 or 10 minutes more. I think, is it okay, Sabni sir? Another 5 minutes.
Yeah, you should be all right, Hemanji. You can take another 5 10 minutes.
Yeah, okay, thanks. Another simple structure, which is the treatment plant in New Mumbai Corporation we have just designed. This is RCC structure basically founded on piles, and it's a sewage treatment plants of 100 MLD. Where we have the walls for the basin, and then that we have to do some final technical analysis for the purpose of proof checking. Because this is a simple structure, we can do of course with hand calculation, there's no doubt on that. But we have provided some buttresses over here for optimizing the thicknesses of the walls. So you can see the buttress at certain interval. So that is analyzed using even FEM also on STAT. And this is actual view of the construction. You can see the wall height is about 6 meters. So otherwise, the thickness is much higher because otherwise it will act as a cantilever wall. So to avoid that, we have provided a buttress at certain interval. And then we have done the analysis on STAT also and some hand calculation as well. This is another view of this. The basin size is very large. The bay size is about 6 meters and it is founded on piles, of course. And these are different basins for treatment plant. So 100 mm size. Some at the site again. Reinforcement details in the walls. And this is the completed view of the chamber of the basin where the sewage is being treated. These are the mechanism, and this is the air is blown at the base of the tank over there for the treatment purpose. There are different various type of treatments are available for the sewage. Here this is the CTEC basin, it is called. More structure I would like to show you. This is at IIT Bombay, we have designed our Department of Energy and Science. So this building was conceived by an architect as a butterfly shaped building, and all the cores is at the center, the lift and all the shaft, what you see at the center, and there are wings at the either ends. This is elevation of the building. This is not a very big structure as such, but the challenge was again all the spans were different. At every grid the spans were different. But that was a requirement by the architect, so we have to do that. This is just a plan view. You can see the central core here, where we have all the lift shafts and the toilets were positioned over here. So this is all the lateral load carrying member, what we have at the center portion. And by otherwise, these are the wings on either side, left and right side. We have simple columns, only square columns, which were having very less stability or lateral stiffness as such. So all the load, lateral load is taken by the core at the center. You can see the shape now. All the spans are varying from center to the end. So it is like a butterfly type shape. That was done. Of course, we have done a lot of trials in this for the optimization. This is a 3D view of my beams and the core walls you can see there. Columns, of course, you can see there are square columns. And the spans were very large here because there was no column inside the room. So columns were only at the end. So the span was ranging from about, I think, 8 meters to about 12 meters. So that was the range of the span. So there are large spans. Some Benjamin diagrams. Basically, envelope diagrams you have to look at all the time for your design purpose, so that you can get floor by floor or for the entire structure. This is like a shear force diagram you can have. View of the model again, just for information. I'm just showing you that. This is completed structure or architectural impression, I would say rather. Another building, like a hostel building for IIT students, that is going on right now. So this is a very large structure accommodating about 1100 students in one building. Like that, there are 3 buildings coming up now because the seats have increased now. Intake is more, so they have to increase the accommodation facility also. Now the interesting part here is, again, we have tried so many options here. Here again, the span is about 9 meters to 10 meters, and there are different portals we have used. So in another view, we will be very clear. And there is a passage in between. So there are no internal columns. Only columns are taken on the external face of the structure. Now with STAT again, we have done the optimization with different arrangements and in consultation with, of course, the architects. And this is what the best arrangement we arrived at. And this is another view of the model. And there is no expansion joint provided in the structure. The length is about 100 meters, but we have done this temperature analysis as well, and we avoided the expansion joint because otherwise it is becoming very difficult to maintain the structure, leakage and all, lot of problems are there. So as far as possible, we try to avoid expansion joint wherever it is possible. Now these are the again, so you can just now see it clearly. The span is like this here. This is about 10 meters span. The columns are only at this 10 meters, and this cross direction it is about 5.5 meters. So this 5.5 by about 10 meters is a grid where we have put all the columns there on the structure. And that is basically a good, it's a symmetrical structure, so we get all the advantage for lateral resistance of the structure. So it's a good structure, then I get all the advantage. And then of course there are lift cores and all these are available. These are the cross section. You can see there are two portals here, only acting as a portal frame, and then axial force diagram you can see. Similarly, you can see the bending moment diagram, so the shear force and bending moment diagram for the portal frames. So basically it is a 9-4 structure, but again it is a part of the portal only. So all the portal frames are there, and it are in both. So I get a stiffness in both the directions. So that's how I get better stability in the lateral load carrying capacity. Last, I think one project now, the piling gantry for marine works. We have done some jetty work, which is done by ITT Cementation Tuticorin. It is just going on. Very long jetty. They are building about 8 kilometers inside the sea. So this is the piling gantry we have designed for them. The steel structure, which is doing the piling in the sea. Basically, it does the pile and then moves on the pile, which has been done already, and then moves forward for the next piling. So that also can be again analyzed using the software as well as basic hand calculations. So this is one of the views of the structure, how it does the piling. It is just standing on 4 piles, and then it performs the next 2 piles and then moves forward, and it goes inside the sea like that. This is a piling gantry. Another gantry we have done for Keller. They have done the work in Katopalli in 2018. Again, similar structure, 2 different gantries they have used. And then there are some erection gantries also we have to design for placing the precast elements in the system. So these are all steel structures. Again, you can just design the structure based on the client requirement, understanding the needs of the client. Again, you have to just do the safety, stability, all these things you have to keep in mind, of course. And as I said again and again, I am doing, you have to do the hand calculation. It's the last project. It's a tower testing station basically. All the transmission line towers are being tested for the full loads. And this is one station we have designed with Mr. A.B. Karnik. And this is in which can test up to 100-meter tall tower. Because earlier there was no facility available in India. The facility only was available for 60 to 70-meter tall towers. So this facility was created for 100-meter and above towers. These are some of the views of this station where you have the tower to be mounted on the base. So these are all the concrete base. Flexible position you have to have and anchor the base, and the maximum ton, 1,000 ton is the load per base, per leg that can come on the structure when it is actually load tested. So for that huge load, you have to design this system. So there are 2 components which is called long mast, wherein the cables are stretched between the long mast and the tower which is to be tested, and they pull the cable and apply the load on the structure. And there is a transverse mast, another circular transverse mast. So tower is pulled in both the directions, and then the loads are simulated due to wind and so on to test the tower for the full loading. So this is a very interesting structure. This tower, what you see, is about 100-meter tall. That is also we can design on steel structure. We have done it in STAAD, of course. And that's all from my side.
Yeah, thank you, Hemantji, for that very elaborate description of the entire concept and the design parameters. We will take up the questions, but before we go to the questions, may I request Dr. Ram Prakash to very briefly draw an overview of all the things what has been deliberated so far, and then we have 2 questions. Then we will take up the questions.
Hello.
Over to you, Ram Prakash.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Sabnis. Hello, Mr. Hemant Vadalkar. That was a wonderful presentation. In 1 hour, you have done a lot of coverage. I would say that many people are enriched by what you have presented. All the same, I would like to put in some sort of careful anecdotes when they get into the real thing. As you have been telling consistently in your presentation, much of it depends upon what you do rather than only what the analysis does. So one of the things is that, you have to keep checking all the joint numbers also. Once the joint numbers come and are displayed, you have to keep thinking whether any of the joints are properly numbered and things like that. In very large structures, it's quite possible that you may not have defined one of the joints and the geometry will go haywire. I have seen this happen with respect to the jointing. Then when you're talking about the critical sections, my tips would be to say that you identify the maximum loaded or maximum load section according to you by your experience and the minimum, and take two of the members which have got the maximum, two of the members which have got minimum, do hand calculation and check that random. That way you would be debugging much of the factors with respect to manual checking. But manual checking is a very critical factor in that. Then you said about FEM and stress patterns and things like that. These stress patterns help you to change your framing. Your framing plans can change. Your foundation plans can change depending upon what outputs you get. And so you can reframe some of the slabs also, you can reframe and things like that. But important thing is to keep the rigidity. I had a friend of mine who removed some of the members which had zero forces or very minimum forces in a space structure. And when he actually erected it, it distorted by 200 mm. And so he called me for rehabilitation. So you should not be too clever. You should not say that these members I will remove which don't matter. Your rigidity in the total configuration is a very big factor. Then sequence of operations, sequence of operations or erections. Many a time the sequence is the one that beats you or catches you on the wrong foot. And many a time the erection is people keep assuming that this column can take any amount of load. So I can put this, I can put that, and people at execution levels, they always look at the columns and say this is something which can take 10 more floors, 5 more floors, like this. But this should be avoided. The sequence of erection and the construction is a big factor that should be kept in mind and kept under control. Then only it will be a success. So that was a wonderful presentation. I think we can go to the question and answer section, Dr. Ajit.
Yeah, thanks, Ram Prakash. Thank you for the overview. And Hemantji, we have participants. I would like to touch upon, take those questions who have been already posted in the chat box and this thing. Let me begin with, I would request Raghu K. If he's there. Hemantji's question is, could you please explain the stat steel design parameters KX, KY, LX, LY? What is the difference between KX and LX in stat steel design? Is the question.
Okay.
I think Raghu, you can, are you there? Yeah, this is one question by Raghu K.
I got the question. See,
Okay.
Different parameters that you can declare for starting your design. Now, K is the basically factor for getting the modified effective length. So, effective length will be equal to K into the actual length of the member. So, either you can give in terms of K, say it can be say 1.2 times L you want to take, say for the column, for example. So, either you can K for 1.2, or you can give the effective length directly as a length directly. So either you can give effective length total or you can give K factor. Either of these you have to give. Don't give both. So otherwise what the program does by default, it takes only the length that is modeled in the structure. Say for example, suppose your floor height is 3 meters. So by default, it will take 3 meters as a column unsupported length, right? Unless modified. So if you want to modify that to effective length as 1.2 times L, based on your side stability, right? So that you can modify by using those parameters like KY and KZ, or you can give LY or LZ directly. LY LZ is the actual effective you want to consider. That is the difference. Okay, I think I have answered your question.
Yeah. The next question is by Janardhan Sundarmurthy. How to eliminate zero stiffness in structures?
It's a very tricky and difficult question. See, there are a lot of warnings that will come. Say, for example, I will just tell you some instance. Say, for example, if you have got a beam and you want to release torsional stiffness, right? And what you do generally, then you can just try to release the MX instead torsional moment at either end. So then what will happen if you release the torsional moments for any beam at both the ends? Now that beam cannot take any torsion. And if you apply any torsional load on the system or any torsion comes on the beam, then what will happen? It will act as a mechanism. So that's how you get the warnings that zero stiffness detected at certain joint and the number it will give you. The degree of freedom it will indicate there. In a direction, it will say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Generally, first three directions are Fx, Fy, Fz. These are the force direction. And last three directions are Mx, My, and Mz. So Mx is your torsional moment. So that kind of warnings or messages you will get if you do this type of thing. So don't do this because otherwise you will end up in the instability in the structure. So you have to understand why it is occurring like that. Because program understand that at any point of time you are going to apply different type of loads on the structure. So you may apply torsion load also. So in that case, what will happen? The beam will become unstable under that situation. Or in a truss, if you just declare all the members at truss, then all the pin joints, right? And if there is no stiffness for the structure, or if you don't have the bracing, the structure will just form a mechanism. So in that case, also you will get this type of warning that instability or zero stiffness detected. So be careful. Look at the warning carefully and try to eliminate that warnings also before the analysis. That is my
Thank you,
suggestion.
sir. Thank you. Thank you.
That question was from one of the MTech students, and there are two similar questions actually. Is STAAD the ultimate software for structural engineers?
No, I never said that. STAAD is one of the best software available. That's what I would say. And there are many good packages also available. People have done their own software programming also during their, I think, MTech and PhD. So there is a separate type of coding. I think we have done also in Fortran long back when I did my MTech. We had our own program in Fortran for a particular application, of course. But nowadays you get the standard sophisticated software packages that, of course, you can use with caution, of course. That is one of the best package available, I would say.
I want to add a little, Dr. Ajit.
Yeah, please go ahead.
One of the most comprehensive is STAAD, and as they are improving the different versions, it has become wonderful and one of the most sought after and accurate softwares. And if you apply it properly, and we have done it for integrated analysis and design. What is integrated analysis design is that you have even the cranes moving along with the structure, and you analyze the whole thing all together, and you have an arch on top with the arch thrust also it will analyze and all that with respect to steel or concrete. And I found that this is very elaborate and very friendly to you if you want to use it properly. And then when it goes to the reviewers, it seems to have very good feedback. Only thing is, whenever we go to a reviewer, I always say that they should use some other software like Strudel or some other software, and not the same software and come and check our designs. That way, it always gives a better version of reviewing, And I have found that people who review a thing done in STAAD by me, by Strudel, has been okayed without a scratch, So finite element analysis, by the way. And that way it is very comprehensive and one of the best, if not the best.
Okay, there is an interesting question. Sir, do we have any provision in the software to know which is the most critical load combination directly, or do we have to check the response from the structure for each load combination and then decide the most critical combination?
No, that is a bit difficult, sir. See, most critical combination in what sense? That is important. See, in some combinations, you get the maximum axial force. In some of the combinations, you may get more shear. Somewhere you get more moment. So what basically we are interested in the design as far as RCC structure is concerned, generally we go for the envelope diagrams. So what the software does basically, suppose you have different type of load combinations, say maybe say 100 combinations, load combinations. So what you do, you have to plot the bending moment diagram for 100 combinations, right? And in AutoCAD terminology, if I say that if you just plot these bending moment diagrams on different layers in AutoCAD and keep on all the layers simultaneously, you see the envelope. And you have to pick up the maximum values of your diagram, that is bending moment diagram, let us say, at all the sections. You have to just divide the beam into maybe say 10 or 12 parts, and every location you have to check what is the maximum bending moment, what is minimum bending moment, and you have to plan for that. So actually, the software does that internally. It will work on the envelope concept. So it will check the envelope diagram for you, and then it will check the section at all the locations in the beam and give you the maximum value for your design. So critical is not a single combination, right? At midspan, you have one critical combination that is governing the design, say for midspan bending moment. But at the support, different load combination number will govern the design at the support, where you have the hogging moment. So you have to just work on the envelope diagram basically.
Yeah, next question is a regular standard question, which is of a great concern to the students. They're asking, as MTech student, do I need to know software before entering consulting job, or is it enough to be good at technical issues? Since both of you are in the industry, Ram Prakash and Hemant, you can motivate them or probably throw a little better light. What is the requirement? What is expected from a student?
Can I take that?
See, nowadays, yeah, can I answer this
Yeah,
first?
go ahead.
Yeah. See, as per the industry, industry people or the design office people as such, they don't want to spend time in training the young engineers on the software. So generally, their expectations are whatever engineer comes into their office, joining the office, he should know everything. Okay, that is what the expectation is. So as far as industry approach is concerned, it is better for a student if he knows the software beforehand before joining the consultancy firm, right? But it is not really required to know the software before joining the consultancy, because we were not knowing any software as such when we started working with some consultancy firm. We learned that afterwards. I learned that after joining my first assignment in Shirish Patel Associate. At that time, the DOS was there. So we have to have those CDs, and we have to just insert one disk, take out that disk, and then start the program, and so on. So it is not a must, but if you know it beforehand, it will help you to get a better job, because the consultants and the offices are looking for the candidate who knows the theory as well as some software.
I think, Ram Prakash wanted to say,
I'll just add to that. No student should say that, learning one software is good enough for joining a particular office or something, because each office relies on a different software. I mean, it may not be that all offices rely on STAAD or so. If I say that STAAD is very good, there's another company which says Strudel is very good because he has come from a German background or something of the kind, or an American background. Each one says his software is the best. But what I would say is the student has to gauge by himself which among them are having bloomers or having problems. What is applicable to steel? What is applicable to concrete? What has got the different codes? Some will have only the European codes, or they will have the American codes. They will not have the Indian code. There are people whom I have come across who have been designing in India, saying I am designing as per American code, but they're not seeing what is the difference in the two. They don't know what's the difference. It's a fancy to say I am designed by European code, things like that. So what I'm telling the student who asked this question is, you must know more than 100%, say 150%, you must know the knowledge, because your delivery is only 50% of what your knowledge is. So you must learn about all the software, hands-on experience of the softwares, particularly when you're doing internship. You must learn from the internship during it, and say you don't know anything. Never say I know everything. Say you don't know anything and start from there and start learning till you know 100%. You don't know anything. So that way I would say you have to do the learning process yourself. To say tomorrow you are ready for any consulting work immediately and you just apply it. You will also there's a saying in computer language that garbage in and garbage out. So what
Yeah.
you do in, is what comes out properly, So that is the answer to that particular question. Thank you.
Yeah. Participants, I don't find many other questions now. I'll leave it open for participants for the last 3 questions. Participants, you need not type it now in the chat box. You can directly ask the speaker.
Hello.
3 questions, please.
Hello.
Yeah, please tell your name and then you can go ahead.
Yes, sir. This is Muhammad Imran, sir.
Yeah, please go ahead, Imran.
Sir, my question was, I have seen a slide showing column face and beam face are pressing with. There is a command used was offset. So do we need to again link up the column centroid and beam centroid with a link object, or it is good enough without adding such thing? In ETAS, we do have a link object like thing. I don't know regarding STAT. So do we need to connect or not required?
Yeah, it's a good question. That is a good question actually. See, offsets are required to be modeled in the structure for better accuracy. But as long as the offset value is very small, then you can neglect those offsets. So for example, if the column size is say 400 by 400 and the beam span is say 6 meters. So the offset what you get for the column and beam is only 200 millimeter. So 200 millimeter versus beam span of 6 meters doesn't make really much difference. So in general, if the value is very small compared to your span and so on, you can neglect that offset also. But when the column becomes a wall, 7 meter length of the column and the width is say 300, then you cannot neglect that. So then your span will be otherwise affected if you just go on the center line model. So there, of course, you have to use this offset command to correctly simulate the span and the effect of the offset. What the offset basically does is it will just simulate a rigid arm inside the program. That is what the offset command is doing basically. So inside the column, it is a rigid element that is being connected. And the beam starts from the face of the column. That is what is done in the program. So it depends on the type of structure you're analyzing. And I will suggest the students, you can try with both. You have the structure, you try with offset, you try without offset, and just see what is the difference you're getting in the results. Okay, so from the understanding of the results, you can decide whether offset is really to be put in or not.
Yeah,
Sir,
yeah, I think, yes.
Sir, can I ask one question?
Yeah,
Satish
yeah,
Raipur here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hello.
Thank you very much for a nice presentation, Evan. What we observed in analyzing in a number of industrial structures, when we model it 3-dimensionally, the results of purlin are not satisfactory. It's always show that the purlins are failing.
Really?
So if you do it manually, the same section is okay. But STAT never gives that design of purlin that is okay.
I got your point. If you remember my very initial slide, I am saying you need not model each and everything in the structure in STAT model, right? You have to build a simple model, which is just the basic framing, right? Purlins is not a part of your total entirely structural system as such. See what basically if you try to analyze and model each and everything, like a purlin, you are connecting the purlin with a beam. Again, beams are divided into so many number of nodes, and then you have to just give the correct center ratio for the purlin also. Stability of each purlin also very important, right? So when you do by hand calculation, what is the assumption? You assume that the purlin is supported by your roof sheets laterally. And then you take the water full stress into account for designing. Instead, it doesn't understand unless you tell the program. If the purlin is spanning suppose 6 meters, so STAT is understanding that okay, it is the 6 meter spanning beam. So it may fail in your centerness also, or lateral buckling also. That's why the STAT may be showing that results are failing all the time. So my point is, see, 100 purlins are the structure is not a problem. That's my perception is. You only model the basic truss of the column and that's all. You don't model purlin your STAT. So purlin is separate component you can design yourself independently. Right? But if you try to integrate everything, then you have to again simulate that correct condition of the purlin also, because you have to then correct parameters of the purlin you have to give in the model also. Otherwise, you will get this type of results, whether it is failing in STAT but actually passing into your hand calculation, because the parameters are different.
Okay, thank you so much.
Any other question? Participants?
Hello. Yeah, I am Krishna Kant Yeah, I'm Krishnagant. I
Yes.
required one requirement is there for any profile generating from the AutoCAD, and we are importing to the STAD file. Then for that profile, we can generate a moment of inertia and section modulus.
Yeah, see, what I can understand, you are generating something in AutoCAD and then importing into STAD, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Geometry can be very well taken into STAD with all the coordinates and connectivity. Now, as far as properties are concerned, it cannot understand the property in AutoCAD, right? You have to define the property separately in STAD. If the section is a built-up section, then there is a facility in STAD also, which is having section wizard that is called. So there you can build your own section through the plates or through any geometry. And there it can just calculate the properties. So because it needs different property like moment of inertia in different directions, then cross-section area, section modulus, and so on. So that is built into STAD separately that you have to calculate in STAD only. It cannot just take it from AutoCAD directly.
Okay, means if
Hello.
I'm generating a deck panel with some profile. So if I am importing into the STAD file, the properties of these things I am not getting in the STAD Pro.
Correct. That's what I'm saying. It will not understand the property of CAD cross-section. It will understand it is the only member, right? And the cross-section property you have to give through STAD. Two options available. Either you can build your own user-defined table. Option available. User-defined table options available in STAD, wherein you can define sections. And the property can be calculated inside STAD for this. There is a section wizard. So that module will help you in getting the properties calculated. You can build any type of section. It's a freehand sketch you can generate, or you can make a section through plates, built-up section. And you can generate the properties and then use those properties in STAD. STAD will only understand the property generated into this module STAD. That's how you have to just recreate.
Hello,
Yeah,
this is
okay.
Chandradhara. This is Chandradhara speaking.
Yeah.
So how the effective length of RC column is calculated in STAD? Is it as per the wood chart given in IS 456, sir?
No, see, automatically it will not calculate any effective length as such. By default, it will take effective length as equal to the actual length of the member itself. That is L. But you have to modify that by putting the K value. So you can give K, KZ.
I mean,
in
by
both
default, it
directions.
will not take any value. But in
No,
ETABS,
no.
sometimes in ETABS, it takes the value of K as what, I mean, it calculates as per wood chart. Sometimes the value of K will be 2, 2.5 and all. How the STAD does?
No, see, for example, suppose you are entering in the building where you are double height. So in that case, your height will be not the 3 meters, it is 6 meters.
Okay.
Framing will be at 3 meters. So your node will be there for the column. So unless you tell the program that the column effective height is not 3 meters but 6 meters, because you have created node over there, right?
Okay.
So take node to node distance as your height of the column. That is 3 meters by default.
Okay.
But you program that you do not take 3 meters but take it 6 meters. So either then you have to modify your K as 2 or you can give LY as 6 meters. That way you can modify those effective lengths.
Okay. Thank you.
It will not take. Yeah. You have to specify.
Good evening, sir. Good evening,
Yeah,
sir.
thank-
I'm Manoj Chakraborty. Sir, one question. Just please allow me.
Yeah. This will be the last question, please.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yes, sir. Sir, the question is in the recent code, no, the stiffness modifier one component has been added, sir. The stiffness
Yes.
modifier will be applicable for IX, IY, IZ area also, or only for the IY and IZ? That's what I want to know. Actually.
Yeah, the code is giving you the stiffness modifier basically that can be simulated in the properties. There is a new command, there is crack section. There is a command of crack section. In that you have to give the factor. Say for example, column, I'm taking the 100% stiffness. You have to take only 70%.
Sir.
Right?
Yeah.
Stiffness. So what is inertia will reduce by that amount. So 70% only inertia it will take. Amount of inertia. So that crack section property you have to give that you have to put the factor as 0.7. For being as code says, you have to take only 35%, that is 0.35. Factor will become 0.35. So whatever gross moment of inertia it will calculate, it will reduce that by that factor or multiplied by that factor rather. Okay, and then take the correct value. So that modifier you can use STAD also.
Sir, but
It can
question,
be
sir,
done.
whether torsional constant also to be factored, or only a moment of inertia, major axis,
Only-
minor axis?
Only moment of inertia only.
Yeah,
No
I
torsional-
think
no torsional constant.
let us not do the consultancy here. And Sunil ji, I think Kute ji, we will take the last question. I think that will be the because
Thank
I
you.
saw you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Hemant ji. Very nice lecture. Congratulations for the wonderful presentation, and great to listen to you after a long gap. That reminded me your photograph of New Era took me your last visit to that project, and that's very nice. Just one very simple question: can we apply the STAR to ferrocement analysis?
Ferrocement and
How
basically
ferrocement sections can be analyzed with STAR?
yeah, people have done it already. You can do that. It is a basic section, with a very thin section. Ferrocement, I understand, is only 25 millimeter or 20 millimeter thick. So dome type of structure or that kind of thing, you can use finite elements, or you are forming a T type of section, you can define that cross section into STAT. So either way, of course, you can do that. That is very well done. I think people have done PhD on this ferrocement using STAT. I have seen some theses, some projects. People have worked on this ferrocement application and the code for that.
Thank you.
One thing I would like to just share with you: the more and more you learn, too little I know. So that's why I said, like my guru, I have to be a student all the time to learn many more things. Days and years.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much for the nice gathering and for the opportunity.
Yeah, thank you, Hemant ji. Thank you very much. Ram Prakash ji, I will can I close with your permission?
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah.
Only one thing I wanted to add,
Yeah.
just a reminder to all the participants that there are cases where these have been used for cylindrical shells, concrete shells and things like that by us. And also we have done multi-storied apartments. We have done 3D analysis since a long time, and a space structure was done by us with a cutout for this thing in the space structure for 88 meters diameter and all that, and a steel stack. A steel stack which has a large opening. It's been done by us with this. But just to tell you how good the STAD thing is, that it is very versatile. And this conoid shells, we did a series of them with finite element analysis. So all of these have been peer reviewed by very big institutions like Indian Institute of Science and all that. And we came out unscathed every time. And as Mr. Padalkar said, that even a water tank, which was a funnel-shaped water tank, we have done with finite element and with STAT and things like that. And it was compared. I told them that it should be compared by another software, and they put it to Strudel, through Strudel, and they compared. And without a scratch, the thing came out saying everything is fine. So there is a lot of applications that are possible in STAT. This is something which people can keep in mind. But at the same time, you must know that some of these softwares get outdated. Tomorrow there'll be one which will come, which will be more friendly and more easy and more accurate and things like that. So you can never say the last word about any software. You have to keep working on the treadmill every day to keep in touch with what's happening, and look at your software based on what you yourself make of it, or your seniors or mentors think about it. That's what I wanted to add. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Ram Prasad. You used a very right analogy, treadmill. So it goes that even if you want to stay where you are, you have to keep running. That is what the world is moving at. Yeah, thank you very much, participants. I'm sure you would all agree with me that we had a wonderful session. And this is especially special request to all the students. I know there have been a lot of questions. There might be, so you mail it to us, to ACC address. We will try to request Hemant ji send those emails, and then your genuine questions will be always taken care of, and then they will be answered. Thank you very much. And then I will be failing in my duty if I don't thank Nagendra, NN Nagendra, for having introduced such a wonderful speaker to us. Thank you, Nagendra. I don't know whether you are there or not.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much for introducing. And now, Hemant ji, we are not going to leave you. So anyway, we will follow up. And thank you very much. And then we are closing.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you.